There's a specific type of person who makes their biggest life decisions in moments of rage. The text sent at 2 a.m., the job quit without a backup plan, the relationship ended with words that can never be taken back. They decide everything when their blood is boiling, when their heart is pounding, when rational thought has left the building entirely. And then, hours later, sometimes minutes, the fog clears, and they're staring at the wreckage of a choice they can't undo. You've either been that person, or you've watched someone you love destroy their life one angry decision at a time. But here's what's actually happening inside their brain in those moments. Something so primal, so powerful, that it hijacks their entire nervous system. Psychologist Daniel Goleman named this phenomenon amygdala hijack, when the emotional brain completely overrides the rational brain, activating the fight-or-flight response and disabling reasoned judgment. Picture your brain as two systems: the amygdala, your emotional alarm system, and the frontal lobes, where rational thinking happens. Under normal circumstances, they work together. The amygdala signals danger or threat. The frontal lobes evaluate whether that threat is real and what the appropriate response should be. But when anger surges, the amygdala triggers autonomic responses to emotional stimuli before your thinking brain can intervene. It's not a conversation between brain regions, it's a hostile takeover. Your amygdala evolved to keep you alive. When your ancestors faced a predator, there was no time to analyze options. Immediate reaction meant survival. Run first, think later. That reflex saved lives for thousands of years. But here's the problem. Your amygdala can't distinguish between a real tiger and a metaphorical one. It treats a disrespectful comment, a betrayal, a perceived injustice with the same primal intensity it would a physical threat. And when it takes over, your prefrontal cortex, the part that plans, reasons, and evaluates consequences, goes offline. You're no longer making a decision, you're reacting. And the difference between those two things is the difference between a life you build and a life you destroy. When anger hijacks your brain, stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline flood your system, increasing blood flow to muscles, expanding airways, elevating blood sugar, and dilating pupils. Your body is preparing for physical combat, but you're not fighting for your life. You're deciding whether to send that email, whether to quit your job, whether to end that relationship. And your body can't tell the difference. Your heart rate spikes, breathing becomes rapid, rational thought disappears, and you lose the ability to think clearly or maintain memory. You're making permanent decisions with temporary emotions while your brain is in survival mode. And here's what makes people who habitually make decisions when angry different. They've trained their brain to trust this state. To them, anger doesn't feel like impairment. It feels like clarity, like finally seeing the truth, like finally having the courage to do what needs to be done. But it's not courage, it's chemistry. And the decisions made in that chemical storm rarely survive contact with reality. People who consistently make decisions when angry aren't doing it consciously. It's a pattern that usually started early. Maybe they grew up in chaos where quick defensive reactions were survival skills. Maybe they learned that anger was the only emotion that got them heard. Maybe calm communication was never modeled, so rage became their default language. Or maybe they discovered something dangerous. Anger feels powerful. When you're hurt, when you're scared, when you feel small, anger makes you feel big. It transforms vulnerability into aggression, transforms pain into action. And in that transformation, making decisions feels decisive instead of desperate. Research shows that people who suffer from persistent anger make decisions based on the negativity of their emotions, assuming the worst and taking extreme action without considering more logical alternatives. They absolve themselves of blame and focus on others as wrongdoers. Their perspective becomes fundamentally biased. They're not seeing the situation clearly, they're seeing it through the lens of threat. And when everything looks like a threat, every decision becomes defensive, reactive, destructive. Here's the dangerous part. Emotions make us pay attention right now and give us an immediate action plan without having to think twice. When you're angry, decisions feel obvious, clear, urgent. The answer is right there, burning in your chest, demanding to be acted on immediately. That false clarity is intoxicating. Angry people make optimistic risk assessments. They underestimate danger and overestimate their ability to handle consequences. They don't see the potential fallout because their brain has narrowed focus to the immediate threat. Everything else becomes background noise. So they send the message, make the call, say the thing that can't be unsaid. And in that moment, it feels right, justified, necessary, like finally standing up for themselves. But amygdala hijackings often result in impulsive or reflexive behavior that leads to regret later, not hours later, sometimes minutes. The anger fades, the adrenaline drains, and suddenly they're looking at what they've done with clear eyes for the first time. And they realize that wasn't clarity, that was a storm, and now they're standing in the wreckage. After an amygdala hijacking, people commonly experience shame, embarrassment, or guilt, not because they're weak, because their rational brain is finally back online and can see what their emotional brain couldn't. Consequences. The relationship that's now damaged beyond repair, the job that's gone, the trust that's broken, the words that echo in someone's mind forever. After about 20-30 minutes, composure returns, and people realize they overreacted. But by then, the decision is made, the damage is done. And here's what makes the pattern so destructive. Each angry decision creates more circumstances to be angry about. You quit your job in rage, now you're unemployed and angrier. You end a relationship in fury, now you're alone and more hurt. You burn bridges in the heat of the moment, now you're isolated and more defensive. The anger creates the problems that create more anger, and the cycle tightens until you're trapped in a life where every major decision was made by the worst version of yourself. Decisions made in anger can ruin your life, and anger impacts both mental and physical health, as well as the ability to make decisions. But here's what most people don't understand about those who habitually decide while angry. They're not actually making decisions about the present situation. They're making decisions about every past hurt that never got resolved. That angry text isn't really about what just happened. It's about every time they felt unheard. That impulsive quit isn't about this job. It's about every time they felt undervalued. That relationship-ending fight isn't about this argument. It's about every time they felt abandoned. People may hold suppressed emotions from adverse life events or trauma, and emotional triggers differ for everyone. The current situation is just the match. The explosion comes from years of accumulated fuel. And when you're making decisions about the past, while thinking you're making decisions about the present, you're not solving problems, you're repeating patterns. You're trying to fix old wounds by creating new ones, and it never works. Breaking this pattern isn't about suppressing anger, it's about recognizing when it's taken over. Simply naming the emotion, acknowledging, "I'm angry," reduces amygdala activity and creates psychological distance. The key is pausing before responding, even counting to 6 while taking a breath, giving your thinking brain time to catch up, not to eliminate the anger, to separate the feeling from the action. Deep breathing increases oxygen flow to your brain and relaxes your nerves, allowing your mind to clear and enabling more logical thinking. It's not about becoming emotionless, it's about creating space between stimulus and response, between feeling and deciding. Being self-aware means recognizing a feeling as it's happening and distinguishing between helpful and unhelpful emotions. The anger might be valid, the information it's giving you might be important, but the decision it's demanding you make right now, that's the hijack talking. And hijacks lie. They tell you this moment requires immediate action, that waiting means weakness, that thinking means doubt. But with awareness and practice, you can train your brain to respond instead of react. The people who make decisions when angry aren't bad people. They're people whose alarm system is so sensitive that it keeps pulling the fire alarm when there's only smoke, and every time they act on it, they burn down a little more of their life. But here's the hope. An amygdala hijack is natural and immediate, but emotional intelligence can help you regain control. You can learn to recognize the signs, the pounding heart, the tunnel vision, the false certainty. You can learn to say, "This is the hijack. This is not me thinking clearly." You don't have to act on every surge of rage. You don't have to make permanent decisions in temporary emotional states. You don't have to keep destroying things you care about because your alarm system can't tell the difference between danger and discomfort. The most powerful decision you can make when you're angry is to not make any decisions at all, to feel it fully, to acknowledge it completely, and then to wait. Wait until the storm passes. Wait until your rational brain comes back online. Wait until you can see the whole picture instead of just the threat. Because the decisions that shape your life deserve to be made by the full version of you, not just the part that's trying to survive.